After 20 years of No Smiles, this CEO discovered a hidden song that changed his life forever. John Miller sat at his desk, fingers hovering over the keyboard, but his heart wasn't in it. 20 years in the corporate grind had sucked the laughter out of his life and filled it with spreadsheets and quarterly reports. Once a gifted musician with dreams that soared, he now watched the world go by through the tinted windows of his high-rise office. Each day blended into the next, and joy had become a distant echo, replaced by the relentless buzz of his phone and the cold glare of fluorescent lights. One ordinary evening, John returned to his childhood home after the passing of his father. He pulled a dusty box from the attic, its contents shrouded in time. Old photographs, toys, and forgotten keepsakes revealed the man he used to be. Then he found an old tape recording. As he pressed play, his father's husky voice filled the room, singing a poignant song about love and redemption. Each note wrapped around John's heart, stirring emotions long buried beneath layers of corporate identity. Tears welled in his eyes, and for the first time in years, he felt alive. Memories of laughter and family flooded back, moments once overshadowed by boardroom meetings and profit margins. There in the attic, surrounded by the spirit of his father, John realized how much he had sacrificed. Music had been his true calling, a way to connect with the world and his loved ones. He envisioned a grand community event to share his father's song, hoping to inspire others to reconnect with their passions too. With each melody he hummed, he felt a flicker of joy igniting inside him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Filled with determination, John began infusing creativity into his company. He organized open mic nights and community music events, a stark contrast to the cold metrics his board members favored. His passion shone bright, but it quickly drew criticism. "This is not what we're about," they grumbled. "Focus on profit, not dreams." John found himself standing at a crossroads, pulled between the haunting shadows of his past and the greed that threatened to snuff out his spark as tensions escalated. John reached out to family he had distanced himself from, triggering emotional reunions soaked in misunderstandings but beautiful with the threads of connection. The warmth of forgiveness washed over him, ushering in a sense of belonging. Yet just when hope began to blossom, the board presented an ultimatum: abandon his vision for profit or lose everything he had tirelessly built. In that moment, John stared down the remnants of his corporate life and grasped a new truth. True success was not defined by wealth but by love and legacy. With his heart pounding and determination surging, he prepared to fight for his passion, knowing that his father's song could change lives, even his own. But would John muster the courage to stand against the tide of corporate ambition? Or would he fall back into the shadows of regret, allowing the music of his life to fade away once more? John stood in his office, the weight of the ultimatum pressing down on him like a 1,000-pound anchor. The polished mahogany desk, once a symbol of success, now felt cold and uninviting. Outside, the city buzzed with life, but here, he was trapped in a cage of his own making. He could almost hear the echo of his father's voice, urging him to be true to himself. The warmth of that song lingered in the corners of his mind, beckoning him to remember who he was meant to be. With a deep breath, he stared out the window. The sunset painted the skyline in hues of orange and pink, a stark contrast to the grayness of corporate life. Just then, a thought sparked. What if he turned this fight into something bigger? What if he made this more than just a battle for his job? That night, John stayed late, immersed in planning. He envisioned a festival, the Heart and Harmony Festival, an event celebrating local music and the stories behind the songs. It would be a tribute not only to his father but to every soul longing to reconnect with their dreams. As he scribbled ideas, the initial knots of anxiety began to ease. His phone buzzed, jolting him from his thoughts. It was a text from his sister, Claire. Mom just told me the stories you shared at Dad's memorial. They touched everyone. Can we talk? A wave of guilt washed over John. He had distanced himself from her for too long, consumed by work and ambition. He typed back, "Can we meet tomorrow?" The next morning, the sun broke through clouds, chasing shadows away. Claire looked different with a sense of hope in her eyes when they met for coffee. Her smile welcomed him in a way words couldn't. With warm cups cradled in their hands, they spoke about their childhood, their father, and how music had always woven them together. "I remember the times we sang harmonies just for fun," Claire said, her eyes glistening. "I miss that." Something shifted in John. Here was a woman who understood the power music had, and together they could rekindle that magic. "Let us bring it back," he blurted out, heart racing. "Let us plan a family music night at the festival and invite everyone. We can perform Dad's song." As ideas flowed, Claire's enthusiasm grew. "I know a few friends who would love to join. Could be like a family reunion." John couldn't believe it. He felt lighter, as if the heavy chains he had worn for years were finally breaking. But thrill quickly turned to apprehension. The board's discontent loomed large. Could he truly defy them and take this leap? As they embraced the day, energized by the budding project, John was left with nervous excitement. Later that evening, he sat in the living room, thoughts racing. He had a choice to make, and every note of his father's song, every laugh shared with Claire, echoed in his mind. But as he prepared for the weekend's meeting, a chilling realization gripped him. What if the board moved to sabotage his plans before he even had a chance to launch them? With his heart pounding and uncertainty lurking just beneath the surface, John understood this was only the beginning. He was on the brink of a transformation, one that would test not just his courage, but the very core of who he was. Would he rise to this challenge, or would he risk losing everything that mattered? The answers awaited him in ways he couldn't yet see. John awoke the next morning, the sunlight filtering through his bedroom window like distant applause, warm and inviting. Yet, beneath the brightness, a gnawing doubt tugged at him. The festival loomed ahead, a beacon of hope tinged with the anxiety of the unknown. He could still feel the weight of the ultimatum pressing on his chest. Would he stand strong against the board's pressure, or would he fold, bowing to the very corporate chains he was striving to escape? After a quick breakfast of toast and black coffee, he grabbed his guitar before heading to work. It felt like a lifeline, its familiar weight a reminder of the joy he'd once found in music. Sitting in the back of his SUV, he strummed the strings, letting the soft notes wash over him. Each chord reverberated through his mind, pulling at memories of laughter shared with Claire and the echoes of laughter in family gatherings. It stirred something inside him, a desire to reclaim that love and connection. Arriving at his office, John paused to take a deep breath, steeling himself for the impending confrontation. The board meeting today was critical. He could already envision their faces, shrouded in disbelief and hostility when he spoke. But he needed to present a united front, one that began with Claire and their family music night. As the clock inched toward the meeting time, John felt the adrenaline surge. He sent a quick message to Claire, hoping that her enthusiasm might transfer to him. "Ready to knock some heads together?" he texted, a nervous smile tugging at his lips. The reply came swiftly. "Always, we've got this. Don't forget what Dad would have said. Follow your heart." With determination rekindled, he entered the conference room. The air was thick with tension, sharp whispers stinging his ears. As he took his place at the head of the table, he focused on the faces staring back at him, cold, calculated, each member a reminder of the pressure he faced. Yet, in the back of his mind, he heard the soft echo of the music, urging him to rise above. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his voice steady despite the tremors in his hands. "I've been doing a lot of thinking. We have an opportunity here, something bigger than profits and figures. I want to create a festival, a celebration of our community through music, honoring the legacy of my father." Silence filled the room like a heavy fog, their expressions morphing from surprise to skepticism. He could feel their judgment like icy daggers, ready to cut him down. But he pressed on. Not just music, but stories. Memories are roots. I believe it could bring us back to the spirit of who we are. He glanced around, searching for any sign of understanding. We could engage with our community, people who have loved our brand for years. Imagine the impact of being part of something meaningful. One of the board members, Greg, a stern man with a reputation for ruthlessness, scoffed. You think a music festival is going to save the company? This isn't a hobby, John. We are in the business of numbers. Exactly. John felt a surge of passion. And that's why we need to connect to those numbers in a deeper way. People aren't just customers. They're part of our story. He could see their resolve beginning to waver, if only slightly. But the pathway was still jagged and uncertain. Were they about to reject his dreams right then and there? As he continued to argue, each word felt like music rising against the odds, clashing against the unyielding walls of doubt. But would they embrace his vision, or pull the rug out from under him in a swift move of corporate protocol? With every pulse of hope came the fear of loss. John felt the weight of his family legacy hanging in the balance, but all he could do was hold his breath, waiting for an answer that could shape not just his future, but the future of his dreams. Could they finally hear the hidden song in his heart? The room seemed to hold its breath as John stood there, tension coiling around him like a snake ready to strike. He felt the moment stretching on, each second a weight on his chest. Greg shifted in his seat, skepticism etched on his face, but John kept his gaze steady, refusing to look away. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Greg leaned forward, his brow furrowing deeper. You're asking us to take a leap of faith on something that's not even guaranteed to work. What happens if this festival flops? We could lose everything, John. A ripple of murmurs washed through the room. The stakes were high, and John knew this wasn't just about the festival. It was about reclaiming his father's legacy, about bringing joy back into a company buried beneath spreadsheets and quarterly reports. That's true, John replied, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. But isn't it also true that real change starts with taking risks? We've been playing it safe for too long. We need passion. We need to reignite that spark, not just for us but for everyone who believes in what we stand for. Another board member, Lisa, a seasoned executive with years written all over her solemn face, finally spoke up. There's merit to your idea, John. People connect through music. If done right, this could indeed reach beyond mere sales and profits. John's heart raced as he seized her words. Exactly. This festival could be our chance to reconnect. We could partner with local artists, host workshops, bring in families. This isn't just about selling our products anymore. It's about building a community again. He could see it slowly taking root in their minds, the shift in their expressions as they considered his words. He pushed on, his heart soaring. Our community has supported us for years. This is our chance to show them we care, to really listen. We could turn this around. Greg scoffed again, but there was a hint of contemplation in his gaze. What if we look foolish? What if this doesn't resonate? The doubt hung heavy in the air. But then John remembered his father's unwavering spirit. What's worse than looking foolish? He said, his voice rising. It's not trying at all. Isn't that worse? We owe it to ourselves to at least try. A silence fell, but it was different this time. Suddenly, the walls felt less suffocating, like a breeze had crept in through a crack. All right, let us say we consider this, Lisa said slowly, looking around the room. What's the plan? How do we bring this to life? A glimmer of hope sparked in John's chest, brightening his resolve. I have some ideas. We could start small, involve our employees, and get feedback from the community. We build it together. It's not just mine. It's ours. Greg leaned back in his chair, arms crossed but an unmistakable flicker of interest in his eyes. Fine. But if we do this, I want solid metrics, timelines, and clear boundaries. We have to protect the company. Absolutely, John said, a smile creeping onto his face. Let us create something that matters. As the board members exchanged hesitant glances, John felt the thrill of possibility dance through him. For the first time, it felt like they were on the brink of something genuine, something alive. But then, the mood shifted once more when a loud knock suddenly echoed through the room. The door swung open, and Claire stood there, breathless, eyes wide with urgency. "John, you need to see this." He felt his heart drop. Did something go wrong? Had she heard about the meeting? The board members turned to each other, confusion swirling. John's heart raced even faster as he approached her. "What's going on?" he whispered, anxiety sharpening his tone. "You won't believe what just happened," Claire continued, breath catching in her throat as she glanced back at the boardroom. John felt the corners of his certainty fracturing, a new tension rising. What could possibly distract them now? Whatever it was, it felt monumental, and he had a sinking feeling it would change everything. Was this the moment that would either make or break him? John's breath quickened as he stepped toward Claire, but the mix of urgency and confusion in her eyes held him captive. It felt as if the entire world had narrowed down to just her. "Claire, what's going on?" He pressed again, gripping her shoulders lightly. The room behind him was buzzing with muted voices, but all he could hear was the steady drumbeat of his heart, echoing through the chaos. She took a deep breath, collecting herself. "There's a video, it's been circulating online. I think you should see it." "A video? What kind of video?" His mind raced through possibilities. Was it a rumor? A scandal? Had something leaked that could undo everything he was trying to build? "It's about the festival, but it's not what you think. Just come. Please," she implored, her urgency cutting through his fears. John nodded, his instincts pushing him to follow. He turned back to the boardroom, casting one last glance at the anxious faces around the table. "I'll be right back." "Don't go anywhere," he said, apprehension threading through his voice. The halls felt different as they rushed to Claire's office, quieter, the anticipation hanging thickly in the air. Every hurried step made him second-guess the narrative spinning outside his control. She ushered him into her small workspace, the walls plastered with reminders of community initiatives and artwork gathered from local kids. As she pulled up the video on her monitor, John leaned in, heart thumping in his chest. The screen flickered to life, revealing a montage of vibrant clips showcasing musicians, dancers, and families laughing together, all set to an enchanting melody. "Look at the comments," Claire urged, clicking through the footage. Each frame seemed to dance with life, showcasing the kind of connection he yearned to create with his festival idea. Then, one of the comments caught his eye. "Finally, a festival that reminds us of the joy we've been missing. What is this?" he stammered, both relieved and confused. "It's an old video someone just rediscovered from a past festival your father organized. The coordinator shared it and it exploded. People hungry for that joy are resonating with it. They're craving that connection," Claire explained, her excitement palpable. John felt as though someone had drawn back the curtains, flooding the room with light. Images of families gathered, music filling the air, laughter cascading like a waterfall filled his mind. This was everything he wanted to recreate. "Could be a sign," Claire continued, her voice lowering. "People are responding, John. They want to believe in something again, something real." The thrill of possibility surged through him, but so did fear. "But what if I mess this up? What if I fail again?" The words tumbled out, raw and unfiltered. "Then we learn and we try again. But this time let us do it together. You're not alone in this," she urged, her eyes steady. He felt a rush of gratitude towards Claire, but also a nagging uncertainty. Could he really bring this festival back, honor his father's legacy, and mend the company's broken spirit? Just then, a notification pinged on her computer, drawing their eyes back to the screen. New comments flooded in, igniting the conversation even further. The excitement was contagious, but John couldn't shake the weight of doubt still lingering in his chest. "When do we move?" John asked, his voice thick with anticipation and fear. Claire smiled, a spark of mischief in her eyes. "Now, let us capitalize on the momentum before it fades." Heart pounding with adrenaline, he knew it was time to shift everything into gear. But just as they set to work, a chilling realization seeped in. Could enthusiasm turn into chaos? Would they be prepared for what could come next? With his mind swirling and the thrill of possibility at his fingertips, John felt himself teetering at the edge of something monumental. But then, a single line from the comments stood out. What if this wasn't just about the music? The question echoed in his mind, and he couldn't help but wonder what exactly was waiting for him when he finally uncovered the true purpose of this festival. As the screen glowed in front of them, John's heart raced. The weight of those words settled heavily over him like a fog. What was this hidden purpose? He could feel the air crackling with potential, but a voice in the back of his mind warned him of the stakes. John. Claire's voice cut through his daze. Focus. We need to draft a plan, reach out to potential artists, and rally the community. Her enthusiasm was infectious, but the shadow of doubt loomed large. Write a plan. John took a deep breath, running a hand through his hair, trying to shake the apprehension that threatened to paralyze him. What if it doesn't reflect what they expect? What if I can't give them that joy again? Then let them help you. Let the community have a voice in it. It's their festival too, Claire replied, her eyes shining with conviction. John nodded slowly, appreciating her perspective. Okay, let us start with social media. We can create a poll or a discussion forum. Find out what people really want. As they brainstormed, ideas bounced back and forth like fireworks. They sketched a rough outline, set dates, themes, even potential headliners. The excitement in the room became palpable, pulling John in with every word. Some voices from the hallway filtered in, each one echoing with hope and uncertainty. Claire paused, glancing toward the door. We should open it up to everyone here. Get their thoughts too. Definitely, John agreed. He needed the input. He needed them to feel part of this revival. But let us also make sure we're prepared for anything. It's been a while since we had such a large event, then let us prepare, Claire said, the spark of determination lighting up her face. We'll handle logistics, safety measures, and maybe even have a few town hall meetings. As they organized their ideas, the flood of messages on Claire's computer kept coming in. Each notification a new thread in the tapestry of excitement building outside the confines of their small office. John suddenly realized he wasn't just planning an event. He was nurturing a movement, a chance for the community to reclaim their joy. But at the peak of their brainstorming session, John's phone buzzed relentlessly on the table. He snatched it up, a knot of anxiety in his stomach. It lit up with a notification from the festival page. A news outlet had just shared the video. Below it, comments were pouring in, and he felt his pulse quicken. Some people are already gearing up for a fight, Claire noted, glancing at John with concern. What are they saying? A pang of apprehension shot through him as he read one comment. This is just nostalgia. It won't bring our community back together. I knew that would happen, he murmured, feeling the weight of history pressing down. Not everyone will welcome this idea. Some will resist. That's okay, Claire reassured him, her confidence a warm blanket against the chill of doubt. Let us address it. Acknowledge the concerns. We can show them how this can be different. Empowered by her words, John felt the adrenaline ramping up once more. But there was still that nagging question, what if the festival wasn't just about the music? The answer swirled in the back of his mind, a whisper of something profound waiting to be uncovered. What if this festival was the key to healing the wounds buried deep in his community? As they closed in on their strategy, a thought struck him. What needed to change wasn't merely the format of the event, but the very narrative surrounding it. Would he have the courage to lead that change? Even as excitement shone bright, doubt clouded the edges of his thoughts. What if revealing the festival's deeper purpose exposed more than they intended, and what if that truth unraveled the ties that had once held the community together? With the weight of these possibilities pressing down, John turned back to Claire, determination etched across his face. We're in this together. Let us make it mean something. But we need to uncover what that something is first. Just as she nodded in agreement, another comment flashed on the screen. Is it really possible to heal what has been broken? The question lingered in the air, heavy and inviting. John found himself swallowing hard, facing the horizon of an unknown journey. What would happen when they sought to answer it? The following days felt like a whirlwind. John and Claire dove deep into their planning. They held meetings, set up polls online, and flooded the town's social media with questions about the festival. Each time a notification pinged on their devices, a mix of excitement and anxiety danced in John's chest. It turned into a game of anticipation, waiting for people's thoughts and hopes to spill onto the digital canvas. As responses started pouring in, John felt a sense of purpose taking root. Comments ranged from excitement about bringing the community back together to skepticism brought on by past disappointments. "We want a parade," some exclaimed. Others urged, "We need activities for families." With each suggestion, John's determination grew stronger to make this festival a fresh start, a bridge to rebuild their past point one evening. In the glow of a dimly lit coffee shop filled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, John and Claire spread out charts and feedback on the table. They were knee-deep in discussion, energized by the possibilities. A family at the next table laughed together, oblivious to the storm brewing in John's heart. "What if we have local artists, bands, painters, poets showcase their work?" Claire suggested, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "This could spotlight our talent and bring the community closer." John nodded, feeling a rush of possibility. "Yeah, we could have a stage for music, a gallery for artists, and even workshops for kids. Something that involves everyone." The evening passed quickly, filled with plans and hopeful visions. But as they left the cafe, John couldn't help but feel a shadow lurking behind the flicker of excitement. That nagging question persisted: could they really heal the wounds that ran deep? Could overlooking the past and celebrating the present truly bring people together? Later that week, John received a private message from someone named Sarah. The note was heartfelt, tinged with nostalgia and grief. "John, I worked at the festival years ago, and when it ended, it felt as if a part of me vanished too. My husband and I would bring our kids, but after it stopped, we lost a tradition. We really missed the joy and the connection." John felt the weight of her words. Each message, like Sarah's, reminded him of the stakes involved. This wasn't just an event. It was about reigniting memories, rekindling bonds. What if people opened their hearts again and shared their stories? What if the festival could become a conduit for healing? As he pondered this, his phone pinged with another notification. A new comment had been posted in response to a video they shared. "Why would we bother? It will just be another letdown." The skepticism cut deep, tainting the enthusiasm that had built up over the past few days. "Not everyone is as hopeful as we are," Claire admitted, her brow furrowed as she scrolled through the comments with John. "But we can't let that deter us." "No, we can't," John replied, steeling himself. "This is bigger than just us. It's about the stories we share, the laughter we miss, and the healing we can all find together." With every ounce of determination, John resolved, if there was any chance to make this festival more than an event, he would pursue it. The doubts would be there, the naysayers too, but perhaps they could weave a tapestry that reclaimed the joy and togetherness lost over the years. That as they continued their discussion, John's mind raced with ideas. They were all small seeds, waiting to grow into something beautiful, vibrant, and meaningful. "That's it, Claire. We need to incorporate storytelling into the festival," John exclaimed, realization striking him like lightning. Claire's eyes widened, excitement building in her. "You mean bring the community together to share their histories, their experiences?" "Yes. Real stories. Their voices can be the heartbeat of the festival. We need to make this more than just fun. It has to resonate with people on a deeper level." But as they celebrated this new direction, John couldn't shake the feeling that understanding this community's scars would be more difficult than he imagined. What stories would emerge? And would everyone be ready to share? As the sun set and shadows lengthened outside, John stood at the precipice of something profound. Could a festival truly facilitate the healing of so many fractured hearts? As he gazed outside, uncertainty mingled with hope, a delicate balance he'd soon have to face. With a heavy heart but a hopeful spirit, John whispered to no one in particular, "Can we really turn this around?" The silence returned his question, stirring something deep within him. It was just the beginning. And yet, the journey loomed before him, wild and uncertain. What lay ahead would soon unravel more than just a festival. Perhaps, it would unveil the heart of a community. The weeks flew by, filled with the kind of energy that made the air electric. John and Claire met with local artists, poets, and musicians, breathing life into their vision. Their meetings grew more passionate, a symphony of ideas interweaving like notes on a page. Still, as John would lay awake at night, questions drummed in his mind. Could they truly capture the essence of their community in this festival? Would the scars of the past remain too fresh for some to step into the light? One afternoon, Claire suggested visiting the town's library to research the histories of the festival, a forgotten treasure. As they combed through old newspapers and photographs, John felt nostalgia wash over him. They found images of families laughing together, vibrant tents filled with smiles, and children running with cotton candy in hand. It felt as if he was touching the very heart of the community itself. "Look at this," Claire exclaimed, holding up an old picture of the Festival South Grand Parade, vibrant banners flying in the breeze. "This is the spirit we want to capture." John smiled, letting the moment sink in. "We can bring this back. We can remind people of what they've been missing." But they also discovered darker articles, reports of tensions and divisions that had surfaced during earlier festivals. John's heart sank. Each story reminded him of the precarious balance they were attempting. "People still need to feel safe," John said uncertainly, casting a glance at Claire. "What if this brings back all the stuff we've tried to forget?" Claire paused, the weight of his words hovering between them like a specter. But instead of fear, she smiled softly. "That's part of storytelling too, John. We have to acknowledge the past to heal it. Maybe this festival can be a space for those stories too." That thought sparked something in John. "So how do we do it? How do we invite the hard stories without shutting them down?" "Community workshops," Claire suggested, her eyes gleaming. "We could hold sessions where people can share their stories, their struggles, and their joy. Could be an integral part of the event." John's excitement grew at the idea. They could frame the festival not just as a fun escape but as a transformative experience. It was a way to connect those who had felt fractured, to spark empathy through shared experiences. With renewed purpose, John and Claire drafted an open invitation for the workshops. They planned an online advertisement, encouraging everyone young and old to come share a piece of their journey. They spoke about art, music, and storytelling as forms of healing. And then, the moment of truth came when they clicked post. The announcement swiftly spread across social media like wildfire, igniting a mixture of hope and hesitation. Responses flooded in. Most were supportive, echoing sentiments like "I've missed this so much," but some still echoed doubt. "What's the point if it's just gonna fall flat again?" Each skeptical comment felt like a ghost haunting their excitement. John sighed, the pressure weighing heavily on him. "Do they want us to fail? Can't they see what this means?" "Don't let the fear overshadow the hope," Claire reminded him, placing a reassuring hand on his arm. "For every negative comment, we have 100 people who believe." Despite her encouragement, uncertainty lingered. They scheduled their first workshop that week, their hearts pounding as they prepared for what could either be a heartwarming connection or a painful reminder of what had been lost. As the evening approached, John glanced at Claire nervously. Would anyone show up? Would the stories shared be filled with laughter and healing? Or would the collective sighs of the past drown out the beautiful future they hoped to create? The meeting time arrived, and soon, people began trickling in, filling the small room with an atmosphere thick with anticipation. Hearts raced as they settled into their chairs, each person bringing a piece of the community along with them. Could this be the turning point they all needed? Just then, a familiar voice spoke up from the back of the room. "I used to love that festival years ago." The room fell silent as they turned to listen, and the true journey was about to begin. The voice carried a warmth that wrapped around the attendees like a cozy blanket. It belonged to Mrs. Henderson, a beloved figure in the community. Her hair, now streaked with silver, shimmered under the dim lights. She had lived through the festival's highs and lows, And the glimmer in her eye revealed not just nostalgia, but something deeper, a glimmer of hope. "I remember standing in that very spot," she said, her voice quivering but steady. "The music was deafening, and everyone laughed like we had no cares in the world. It felt like we were one big family." A collective sigh of longing bubbled through the room, echoing her sentiment. "Why did we stop?" Someone whispered from the back, the question floating out into the charged air. Mrs. Henderson turned, looking at the young woman who spoke. "Times got tough," she replied. "We lost our way and forgot how to celebrate together. Bad moments haunt us." But perhaps her eyes scanned the group. Perhaps it's time to look past that. The room buzzed with charged energy. It was as if a dam had broken. Other voices chimed in, sharing fragments of their festival memories, laughter and music filling the air like the scent of cotton candy on a summer's day. There were moments of silence, too filled with shared pain and commingled grief. John felt the tension in his chest loosen little by little. Each shared story showed them that they were not alone, reminded them that every scar carried a tale worth telling. Claire squeezed his hand, a silent acknowledgement that they were both feeling the power of this moment. A man stood up, his hands shaking. "I lost my son," he said, voice breaking. "He loved that festival. We used to come every year. But when he was gone..." The laughter felt too heavy. He took a breath, wiping away tears. "I can't pretend everything is okay. But maybe this is how we start to heal." The room was somber, filled with the kind of silence that drew people closer together. Everyone held their breath for a moment, processing what it meant to bear each other as burdens. Claire's eyes glistened with unshed tears. She turned to face John. "This is it, John. This is what we wanted. How do we make this happen again? Let them know it's time to come together?" He wondered aloud. Voices around them began to rise again, sharing ideas for the festival, the kinds of activities that could reignite that connection: art displays, poetry readings, food stalls with recipes that carried family legacies, live performances celebrating local talents. As the ideas flowed, John felt the air thrum with excitement. But a creeping dread nudged at the back of his mind. Could they truly deliver on this? "Let us share stories," another participant proposed. "Invite everyone to write down their memories and hang them like banners across the park. Let those stories guide us." "Yes," Claire leapt in. "An entire section dedicated to storytelling. It will honor every memory, joyful and painful. Then the festival can be more than just an event," John added, heart-pounding. "Can be a gathering space for healing and community." Ideas bounced around, now gaining momentum, rising like a crescendo of music. Each suggestion layered with emotion, each one painting the vision of a festival that celebrated not just joy but authentic healing. Laughter returned as people grew animated with possibilities. Just as the room reached a fever pitch of excitement, a voice came gently yet firmly from the back. "But you mustn't forget. Some stories never leave the shadows." There stood Malcolm, a community elder known for his wise yet blunt approach to honesty. The room quieted again, tension etched into every face. "We have our work cut out for us," he continued, voice steady. "We need to brave the past, not just gloss over it. If we want this festival to bring unity, we must face that darkness together." John felt discomfort curdle in his stomach. Malcolm was right. They couldn't shy away from the stories of hurt. They had to embrace them. What he hadn't expected was that in confronting those truths, they might just find the strength to create something beautiful. As everyone deliberated on how to weave those threads together, John's heart raced with a mix of fear and exhilaration. Could they truly navigate the complexities of healing while celebrating the joy? Were they ready to face the potential fallout? With thoughts swirling, he looked at Claire, the determination in her eyes matching the resolve in his. The journey was just beginning. But just as the optimism surged again, the clock chimed, signaling the end of the first workshop. The crowd began to disperse, yet John's thoughts lingered over Malcolm's words. What if we fail? He wondered, echoes of doubt creeping back in. Then we'll learn, Claire murmured, squeezing his hand at their side again. But we have to try. And in that moment, amid the chatter and the fading light, another voice called out from the door. I might have a story to share. The air thickened again as they turned, a spark igniting. What hidden stories lingered, and could they turn them into a new dawn for their community? John stood in the center of the park, his heart racing like never before. The day of the Heart and Harmony Festival had finally arrived. Colorful banners danced in the crisp breeze, and laughter bubbled around him. Young children bounced with excitement, parents shared smiles, and as he looked up, the sky gleamed a brilliant blue, reflecting the joy he felt inside. Claire tugged at his sleeve, her eyes sparkling with life. Can you believe this? Look at all the people. They turned toward the crowd, a sea of familiar faces and new friends. Each person came with their hopes, ready to celebrate music, art, and the stories that had shaped their community. With the stage set, charisma pulsing through him, John looked out at everyone from his spot on the stage. The community he had fought so hard to reconnect with had come alive before his very eyes. All those hours of planning, every moment of doubt, had led to this. He knew he had to lead this transformative moment. Welcome everyone, he shouted into the microphone. The noise quieted, every ear tuned to him. Today isn't just about music. It's about celebrating every piece of our journey together. Let us share our stories of joy, pain, and everything in between, just like my dad would have wanted. A wave of applause surged through the park. John's heart soared. He could hear the music beginning to play softly in the background, but the warmth filling his chest felt far more powerful than any melody. Throughout the day, people took turns at the microphone. Stories poured out, some laced with tears, others bursting with laughter. Mrs. Henderson shared her cherished memories of dancing with her late husband, while Malcolm recounted the festival's earlier days, honoring its roots and the lessons learned. Claire's rendition of their father's song moved everyone to tears. Each tale was a thread in the intricate tapestry they were all weaving together as the sun dipped lower in the sky. Shimmering gold cast a warm glow over the festival. John's spirit surged with the realization that they were no longer just gathering to listen or watch. They were creating connections that resonated deeply, healing long-held wounds. They did more than revive the festival. They ignited a spark in each other's hearts. John felt a pull, an energy coursing around him. He picked up his guitar, the one his father had gifted him long ago. It fit comfortably in his hands, a reminder of where he had come from. The notes rang true as he began to strum, the crowd falling into a hushed respect for the music cascading from his heart. Let us sing together. His voice rang out over the chords, and the familiar tune, his father's song, echoed around the park. A ripple of voices joined his, weaving harmonies that felt like a warm embrace. In that moment, he knew all the sacrifices, the struggles, and the fears had led him to this beautiful orchestra of humanity. Joy cascaded through him like cascading water. It was pure and sharp, washing away the years of doubt. As the final notes faded, a hush enveloped the crowd. John looked around, his eyes landing on Claire, her gaze filled with pride and love. Every doubt he'd ever felt about standing up for his vision had evaporated. He had fought the corporate shadows and emerged into the light of a new unity. The festival thrived beyond the stage, with more laughter spilling out as kids raced back to their parents and artists showcased their crafts. But it was the warmth of community that filled the air most of all. People began sharing symbols of their memories, tying them to trees that stood in the park, pieces of story to weave into the fabric of their past and present. That moment, John knew that real transformation wasn't just about reclaiming a festival. It was about healing, about fostering connections amidst vulnerability, laughter, and love. As dusk settled in, he stared up at the canopy of stars which began to sparkle high above. He couldn't help but think of his father, how proud he would be to witness this moment. As the stories flowed and echoed around him, he realized this was far beyond him. They would continue to grow, to share, and to connect. With reckless abandon and a heart full of dreams, John flipped the script on what success meant to him. He had reclaimed his passion, and in doing so had rekindled the heart of a community. Everyone would remember this festival, not just for the music, but for the incredible unity it inspired. As the laughter and songs ebbed into the night, John smiled wide, letting the warmth and connection wash over him. This was his legacy. The joy of music and the power of stories had sewn their hearts together once more. Now was the time for the fight to continue, but not just through profit margins. No. This time, it would be through something far more valuable: connection. Don't wait not even one more second. You need to subscribe now to our channel and keep up with this incredible journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let others feel this joy. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this heart-touching ending. And remember, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support.